educational psychology at Walden University. I am working on my dissertation, so I hope to be finished really, really soon. I cannot put a time frame on it, but hopefully soon. And I'm a part of APAC's convention planning committee. Also, I've worked at Division 35, Section 1 in some capacity, and I do a lot of other volunteering for even the international office as well with APA. So then I volunteer also in my local community, so I'm pretty involved all the way around. But I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone.
Thank you so much. And I'm wondering, oh, we have one more person. If you are on your laptop, do you mind turn on the video? I feel like that might help us to kind of see facial expression and get to know each other a little more. But if you, if not, yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't turn it on. I turned it on, but it was scrambled, and this was like 20 minutes beforehand, and I was trying to get it fixed. But for some reason, I think something's wrong with my webcam. So I'm sorry about that. I tried to because I know I want you all to see my face. And
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That happens. Well, they always happen at the right time, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So the rest of our mentee, feel free to jump in and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ana Goya Arce. I'm a student at DePaul University. I'm using my phone, so I can't use the camera because I don't have Zoom. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, and would you mind sharing a little bit of what do you hope to learn or get out of our session today or meeting today?
Yeah, I'm new to the to Division 44 and this, but I am going into I'm starting my dissertation project, and I'm working with a lot of undergraduates who are helping me collect data, and I want to sort of be a good mentor to them. So I really want to sort of get out how learn how I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing. That sounds great. So we have 3 other attendee on the call. Would you mind sharing yourself briefly?
I'm Gigi Sims. I'm a doctoral student in a clinical psychology program attending the University of California, Santa Barbara. And I'm in my 2nd year. And I guess what I'm hoping to kind of learn today is I'm very interested in interdisciplinary research. So just hearing people's experiences in regards to, how to develop that type of connection, especially when you're reaching out to someone who isn't necessarily your advisor, so there isn't that inherent sort of connection between you already, would be really just wonderful to hear.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Reynolds. I'm a graduating senior in undergrad politics and double major at the University of I just came across Division 45 virtual mentorship session kind of by chance, and I decided to kind of take a look at the and try and attend as many as possible starting my career and trying to learn more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you.
And
Okay, my name is Haley, and I go to California State University Long Beach, and I am a 2nd year student. But enough units to graduate early, so I'm going to graduate next year spring. And I'm currently doing research with 2 professors, and I just kind of want to know in terms of how do we continue to in regards to relationships with mentors, how do you make sure that you know, like, you have a good one, and like, what do mentors expect from mentees in terms from the relationship? Because I know our hours are sometimes they don't, or most of the time they really don't match, and so I just want to know, like, what is it they expect, and what would they like to show from our side, our appreciation. Because I'll send emails, but I'm like wondering, what else would you guys like to make so that you guys know that, hey, I appreciate what you're doing and I like it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for letting us know. Yeah, so I appreciate everyone for being on the call today. I'm excited to see, it seems like we have people from all over the country. We have someone from the East Coast, West Coast, and Midwest, and we have different majors and graduate students and undergraduate students. So it seems like we have a kind of a mix with a lot of variety. So I'm excited that everyone take time this Saturday morning to join us. And I'll give the floor to Valamere, and we can get started with the presentation. And if there's any question while we're talking, feel free to jump in and ask questions, and we'll save some time as well for questions.
Yes, I agree. There is quite the mixture of callers, which is great. This actually would, you'll see that, I'll answer a lot of your concerns in the presentation, but then some, that look over the presentation, it may be a refresher to you in terms of if you've already had mentorship experience. So is there any way to share my screen?
Yeah. There is a sharing button. I think it should be the green one in the middle of the bar.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Alrighty. Okay, so do you guys see my presentation?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm?
great, great, great. Okay, so alrighty, so we're going to get started. How to create a mutual connection with the mentor. Okay, so these are some of the things we're going to be discussing today. First of all, in order to create that connection with the mentor, you have to make sure that it's effective, that it's effective mentoring going on. So I'm going to kind of define what is effective mentoring. Also, one of the keys to building that connection is that you have to kind of approach it as a joint venture. And I don't know if you are familiar with that business term, but with the joint venture, there's that partnership. Have to approach it with like more of a partnership. And again, working together, and then also just a few tips on how to get started for those that don't have a mentor. Because I did hear in one of the introductions that, you're just kind of getting started, kind of going to conferences, networking, and you want to know, how to pretty much get going with developing that type of relationship, mentor relationship. So we're cover a couple of those things. So when I mentioned effective mentoring, that is a key, or it is essential to building that mutual connection once you've found that mentor. So effective mentoring is a developmental partnership, which I've highlighted, where someone, being the mentor, actually shares that knowledge, skills, information, as well as their point of view with you. And that helps to encourage like your personal, professional growth as well. You being the mentee. In turn, as the mentee, because again, it's effective is not just one-sided, it's that partnership. You in turn, as the mentee, you show your appreciation to them by sharing knowledge, skills, information, and your point of view, to another. You can even share it with your mentor. You can say, hey, this is what you're sharing with me. This is how I'm applying it. For example, if your mentor is actually your professor, or you're actually, working with them doing research, they're pouring into you information, and you in turn are applying it. You're showing them, okay, this is the research I came up with. You're letting them know that, your time is not wasted. What you're sharing with me is being put to use. So I've actually put a couple of quotes at the bottom that kind of illustrates this effective mentoring, that will help continue to build like that mutual connection. Like John Crosby says, mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. And then Herbie Hancock went on to say, I've learned a lot from mentors who were instrumental in shaping me, and I want to share what I've learned. Again, that illustration where, you receive all of this information, the skills you're developing, and this you in turn saying, thank you, for your time. This is what I'm getting out of it. You see, this is how I'm applying it. Your time is not wasted. I'm valuing it, so this is that effective mentoring going on. Now, I know someone also mentioned, like, what exactly is the mentor's role? I do know that they're going to share information. They're going to, be the one to kind of take the lead on some things. But I just want to go into just a little bit more detail about what you can expect from this mentor, like what their role is in your relationship. For example, like giving vision and insight. They'll be able to support and encourage you, like whatever endeavors that you are going, after, you can share this with them, and they can be that support, part of your support system. They also, volunteer their time, and they can serve as a role model. You can look after, especially if they're in your field, you can look up to them as one who went ahead and they're pretty much making the way. For example, if they've already been, they've done research, it's been published, it's been tested, tried, and everyone uses it now. And as well as you can look to them and say, okay, this is the example that they've made out for me, so I can follow it. Also, I know oftentimes we're trying to determine whether someone would be a good mentor or a bad mentor. I think one way to tell if they're going to be a good fit for you, a good mentor for you, is to know if they're approachable. Because it doesn't make any sense for you to go after a mentor or have a mentor that's not approachable, because then that restricts your time, your access to them. And part of the reason why you want a mentor is so you can have that access, so that you can have someone you can, get information, you can share things with, but if that person is not approachable, that can automatically tell you, no, this is not a good fit for me, and then you can know how to proceed or not proceed. Also, a mentor's role, I believe, is to explain the unwritten professional rules. Because, okay, here's a great example. Let's say you are applying for a position and you get called in for the interview. Just as that company is, trying to hire you, you want to put your best foot forward. They also want to put their best foot forward. So they're not telling you everything. They're telling you all, let's say, the good stuff, just to get you involved, just to, hire you. But there's some unspoken things, some kind of nuances that you may not be familiar with, because that mentor they have already experienced it. They can tell you the ins and outs to kind of prepare you. Like, if you encounter this type of situation, you can go about it this way, because of their years of experience, or, their, what they have learned from it, they can share. So I believe that mentor's role is important, to share those things that are not necessarily obvious concerning, like, professionalism, working in, certain fields, like corporate, cultures and values, the unspoken things. And then also, they're there to help you identify exactly what your career opportunities would be, and help you develop them as well. Okay, so if you are, trying to pursue a certain type of internship, they're there to help groom you pretty much for that. And also, they have certain connections, that they can put you in contact with certain people or organizations, or they can pretty much prepare you for them. Okay. Now, here are a couple of reasons for you to, once you've established who your mentor or mentors are, here's reasons for you to continue, kind of building that connection with them. One of the reasons is to help improve and develop your skills. Whatever your skills are, it could be research, it could be leadership, they can help you, develop those and even improve them. Also, as I mentioned, career opportunities. They help identify what they are, because they could be working for the company you want to work for, or they may know someone who works in the company you're trying to pursue. So they can help you identify those. Also, they can help explore untapped potential, some things that you may not even be sure of, but the more that you have conversations with them, open up about who you are, what you're currently working on, they can start helping to see, oh, did you know that you may be good in this area? Like if you're doing some type of, you're helping with research, they can kind of identify certain areas of research you may be good at that you didn't know, and that actually was developed after with time, after you put in, from researching. And then as well as making valuable contacts, and also enhance your career advancement opportunities. Now, I have a number of mentors myself personally, and the mentors that I do have, one in particular, I've known her for a little over 4 years, and this is the mentor that I usually reach out to, or for whatever reason, she always seems to make connections for me. Like she always has someone within her network that she connects me to for whatever I need. I know at one point I was looking for an internship in my field of study, and she just so happens to say, hey, I know someone who has a consulting company and they're looking for interns. So let me connect you to her. So she did the virtual connection. She sent an email to me and she copied her on it. And from there, this has been a little over a year now. I've been connected with this other individual through that mentor. So again, that's that making the valuable connection. She's one to, not only connect me to other people within her network, but she also has tons and tons of resources that she shares with me as well. And that's because over the past 4 years, I've, had conversations with her. I check in with her, which I'll tell you a little bit more about check-in a little bit in the presentation. And, and so I'm grateful for that. And here's the value of effective mentorship, or I would say the value of continuing to build that connection with your mentor. One thing is that a study reported that over half of individuals who had been in a mentoring relationship, they said, my mentoring experience changed my life. And that's because, again, you've established, your expectations, you continued conversations, you found value out of that. And mainly because there was a joint venture, you approached it as a joint venture. Now, one thing I do want to kind of make clear is that whenever you are in a mentoring relationship, it's not one-sided. It's not the mentor having all control. No, it's actually joint. Everybody has that. It's a shared equity, being that everybody has that what's in it for me, and it's a win-win situation. That is how you continue to build that connection with your mentor. It's because you know what you want, you also find out what they want, and both parties begin to establish what it is that, you kind of define what this relationship would be like. Now, how do you prepare for this joint venture? Is that, this shared equity is that, first of all, you have to research and screen any prospective mentor, okay? That means you go online or you ask someone maybe within your network that may be connected to that potential mentor, whatever you need to do to kind of find out who this person is. If it's a professor that you see, you may see him from afar and may think, oh, that may be a potential mentor. Well, find out maybe within that department, or find out from previous students that may have had this professor. How are they as a professor, or, or maybe previous, mentees may have had them. So, that helps to find out if this mentor will be good for you, once you find out this information. And as well, do your due diligence, which means check the credentials of this potential mentor. For example, Just recently, I actually kind of connected with, I would say, a mentor through LinkedIn. Now, I saw this person pretty much every day post consistently, like share advice, like career, opportunities. I mean, they were very generous with everything they shared, as well as they had started a business like about over 2 years ago. And I saw through LinkedIn how this business has grown. I was like, wow, this is one of my career objectives, is to own my own business. So why not? And I love their positive messaging. I love their brand. Why not reach out to them? So what I did was, I not only saw how they were doing on LinkedIn, I also Googled them. I looked up their website. I looked up even the Better Business Bureau. I looked up anything to kind of get for their business and their credentials. And one of the key things is that a lot of their connections were a part of my network on LinkedIn. So guess what I did? I personally knew these people within my network. I picked up the phone and I called them. I said, "Hey, I see that you work with such and such. Can you tell me a little bit about how your work experience has been with them? Because I'm thinking about reaching out to them for A, B, and C." And, I did that for about two of the people within my network, kind of vetting this potential mentor, and they had nothing but good things to say. And the whole point is that after they shared with me, I then took the initiative. I messaged the person on LinkedIn. And from that point, we have been in conversation for over the past 2 months. Good conversation, and just kind of developing, I believe it's going to be a good mentorship. But I did share with them what I'm looking for. I want a mentor in business, and A, B, and C. And I also offered, well, how can I help you? Because I see your business is pretty new, and so we've been having conversations from that. So I just wanted to kind of give you an example of how you research, do your due diligence, and then establishing what that mentorship plan is going to be. That's where both of you would go ahead and discuss exactly what it is you want to get out of that relationship. What do you want to achieve? Okay, that's a shared responsibility. Okay, and that can either be written or verbal. You can, I'm not trying to say it needs to be a contract, but it helps if you write it. Helps both of you all kind of go back and look and see, oh yes, we did discuss this, and you have a plan to move forward in how you want to develop that mentorship. What do you want to achieve, and what are your expectations? That's an example. But there are some mentorships that develop organically, where it's more of a personal mentorship. I've had a personal mentor for over 20 years, and this individual has been, with me through challenging time, personal things in my life. I can rely on them for support when I'm challenged, on a personal level. They've been that support for me. And, I didn't have a written mentorship. It just kind of, like I said, developed into that. And that was through my check-ins. And check-ins is pretty much where you would either pick up the phone or you would send an email, to whoever this mentor is, say, hi, how are you? I'm working on this, and I just want to let you know that, and, what are you working on? How can I help you? So it's this, that you're not just always reaching out to them to actually get. That's the thing with building that mutual connection. It's not one-sided, and it's not just, take. It's you giving, you being able to be, find out what they need. And then also you sharing. You can share an article with them. I've did that with a couple of mentors. I know what their area of expertise, what their research is, and I'll send them an article, say, oh, I just saw this article. I thought you may be interested in this. Or either there's a networking event going on that I think that would be beneficial to them. I'll send it. That's all. And I leave it at that. And because of that, that's why I've have a couple of mentors that I've known for years, because I do things like that, where I'm not necessarily expecting anything in return. When I do that, I'm just giving to them, showing them that, you know, I want to support you. That's what it is to have that, you know, to build that mutual connection. That's a meaningful or effective mentorship. Okay. And then you want to share your expectations. You know, again, the mentor is not the one that has the control. It's a joint venture and it's shared responsibility. So in this, you know, you share your expectation. You want to make sure it's clear of why you want to be mentored. We all seek mentorship for different reasons, as well as mentors can be in our lives for seasons. You know, maybe a short time, maybe it can be long term. But guess who gets to decide that? You both get to decide it, not just the mentor, you as well, because again, you are the one that's seeking mentorship for, you know, certain reasons. So it's good to know why you want to be mentored, as well as kind of evaluating what your past mentorship experiences were, good and bad. And it's also good to even share this with a mentor. As a mentor, I love to hear that. I love to hear from mentees, you know, them telling me, oh, you know, I had a bad experience. You know, I thought there would be a good mentor, but turns out they didn't have enough time. You know, they just, you know, they not only didn't have enough time, I didn't get what I needed. And then my response is, well, did you tell them what you need or what you're looking for? The answer is always no. So, I mean, those are lessons to learn, to make sure it's very clear that you are sharing these expectations and from the very beginning. Also, kind of outline and share what your career goals are and how you hope that mentor will help you. Even with the one of the mentors that I sought after, I really wanted them because of an internship. I really wanted to see how they could help me obtain a mentorship, give me advice or feedback. And it turns out that they really were not the ones that I thought would help me. So that didn't work out, but that's okay. You know, that was a lesson learned. And then of course, you know, once you do start getting to know your mentor and you're developing this relationship, trying to establish connection, make sure that you're open to their objective feedback, to new ideas and maybe approaches they may share with you, as well as you be ready to share, you know, feedback, you know, because mentors love to hear, you know, how they're helping you and how they're not helping you. And also not just telling them what the problem is, but also offering solutions. Well, you know, I think, you know, I want an internship, but could you help maybe by giving me feedback on my CV? You know, that could help me maybe nail the internship I need. Or are there people within your network that you can maybe connect me to that may be looking for an intern? You know, just things like that is good. And here are some other keys to kind of help establish that mutual connection. Communication. I mentioned before that there was, I thought a mentor would help me to obtain an internship, but it just did not work out. But I did know how to communicate and, you know, by articulating what that issue was with them, because I first started out with them and I knew that maybe this may not be the right mentor because to begin, their time was very limited, as well as they were not flexible with my schedule. They wanted to meet at noon on a particular day. And I couldn't do that because I was working. So I tried for the first couple of times and that just didn't work. But I would tell you this, even between trying for the couple of times, they were able to review my resume as well as they were able to share a networking tip with me. So by me articulating that it wasn't working, I was able to still tell them, well, you know, I do appreciate how you were able to review my resume, give me good positive feedback, as well as you shared your resume with me so I can see it as a sample, and that networking tip. That really did help because I did apply what they told me when I went to a social event. So they were very happy that helped. And, I just told them it's just not working in terms of the time. It's not flexible and it's not what I need at the moment. So that worked out pretty good. So you need to make sure that moving forward that you're doing that, if there is a problem of some sort, that you're able to communicate that to the mentor. Also making sure that you listen and challenge in a productive manner. So of course, just like any other relationship, there'll be, issues that may come up or disagreements. So as you're listening, instead of being combative, it's good to maybe challenge. Well, thank you for sharing that. I believe, I see it this way because A, B, and C. You're being able to still hear what they're saying, but you're challenging it by bringing, other points up concerning that. Also being honest, as I was honest with that mentor, that it just wasn't working for me. The time, I just can't do the time, And so, by you being honest, I think that will help, kind of bridge any, actually eliminate any confusion that may, potentially come up if you're not honest. And also, you're not wasting your time or you be honest. And also, show empathy, have that understanding. If, for example, let's say an appointment was missed by you, or either the mentor couldn't make it up, whatever the case may be, just having some sort of understanding, because again, life happens. Now, the conversation, I do know that someone mentioned about how do you have these, these conversations, or how does the conversation continues with that mentor, which is all a part of building that, genuine connection with them. For one, I found that asking active, actually doing active listening, where you're asking open-ended questions, actually it helps, move the conversation along. Instead of asking yes no questions, try to go with, well, how did you do this, where they're talking, through an experience, or they're providing a process, and as well as you getting that understanding from their point of view, that will help you to move the conversation along. And also that would actually help establish that relationship even further, because you can see where that mentor is coming from. And then also just making sure you avoid any judgment, even if as they're sharing information with you, that goes to you showing sensitivity as well as confidentiality, because oftentimes mentors will see you as a person to prepare for the future or prepare for certain experiences. They want to be as open and vulnerable with you as possible to help you avoid mistakes they may have had. So that may cause for them sharing very sensitive information. Also, they may have worked with big name companies, which I've had a mentor, share. They've had clients they work with that are major companies, and so they, just to keep them, protect them or what have you. I don't want to, I don't share any of that information, so you definitely want to make sure you exercising sensitivity and confidentiality, because again, you may want to work for a certain company that they've already worked for or are working for, and so they're sharing these things that, may be sensitive. So definitely be aware of that, and making sure you respect the mentor's time as well as your own time by being prepared, being prepared with the questions, being prepared with, what are you going to talk about, or what do you expect out of the, conversation as well. And then the feedback, the follow-up and feedback, I kind of talked a bit about that. The follow-up, I do that on the regular, like at least once a month, I'm checking in with my mentors. I'm, sending the quick 1 or 2 liners saying, hi, how you, hope all is well. I just want to check in with you. What are you working on? How can I help? Or either I just wanted to let you know I just, did this, researched that, accomplished this, and, because most of the time, the things that I went after, they've encouraged me in it. they pushed me, say, hey, Valamere, you are good at that. Go after that scholarship. And when I went, I was like, I won the scholarship. They love to hear that because, again, all the advice they gave or feedback or, support, it tells them, hey, you're listening and you're applying it. This matters. This really matters. And then also asking for their feedback. Like, because I'm working on my dissertation, and one of my mentors, the area that I'm focused on, that's their area. So I'm always asking, like, okay, when you get time, can you take a look at this? Does this make sense? Can I have your feedback whenever you get time or whatever the case may be? And yeah, that's good. And then also, if you, for example, I think it was Haley was saying something like she's actually helping research. And I guess you want to know how you're doing. Well, yeah, definitely ask for that. Ask your mentor for feedback. Ask, how am I doing? I know I've researched in this area for this long and I produce this. Could you let me know how I'm doing? What are areas I can improve in? Because, and you tell them why. Why do you need the feedback? Why do you think you need the feedback? One, because you want to improve, or two, you may be going after a certain type of scholarship research, you're preparing the white paper for it, whatever the reason is, definitely asking for it. You need to do, because you have to ask for it, because oftentimes people don't know what you need until you either ask or you tell exactly what you need. But of course you can you can do that. So I hope I answered that question.
Yes.
Now getting to, I'm sorry.
I said thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, and so getting to know your mentor and allow them to get to know you. I'm not saying you need to share deep, dark secrets. It's only at your comfort level, okay? You definitely want to be comfortable with what you share, and also gauge their level of comfort, you can even ask, please let me know if this, if you're comfortable answering this question, and then you go with your question. Or if you want to know a little bit more about them in a certain area, you can just establish that from the beginning. Is it okay, if you'll tell me a little bit about where you grew up or your family? You just have to ask permission. That's the whole point of it. And if they tend to ask you something that you're not comfortable sharing, please be open and honest with letting them know that at this time, or no, I don't want to share that, or however you feel, because the whole point is that this is shared responsibility. This is, it's a joint venture. So both parties have to be comfortable in what they share and how you get to know each other. And then, of course, mainly you want to focus on your growth and accomplishments, by whatever your objectives are in building that mentorship, is that you want to make sure that it's going in the direction that you would like for it to grow into. And also, kind of evaluating how you've accomplished certain things, how you've taken their feedback and applied it, to, either your research or your applied to professional growth. Is it meeting your need? That's where the reevaluating the relationship comes in. Because again, like I mentioned before, some mentorships are only seasonal. They only last maybe a short time. There's long term, and then there's some that you even can encounter for a season. Like I have a dissertation mentor that they're only there with me just for that season, because after that, I don't know, I may need them for something else. I don't know that. But you just want to kind of evaluate where you are with that. Here's a couple of resources I just want to share with you all. For those that are just getting started with trying to develop a mentorship relationship, you may want to kind of have a checklist of the first time you're meeting with them. Here, the first thing you want to do is kind of find a neutral and comfortable location. That's if you're going to be doing a physical meetup. But if it's something like a video conferencing, maybe try to find the right tool like Zoom, Skype, go to a meeting, whatever, but both of you all need to agree on it. Also, make sure you prepare the things that you want to share about yourself that are interesting and relevant, so that you're letting them know that this is who I am, and this is another reason why, or reasons why I would like for you to be my mentor, by you sharing these things. Also, the active listening, where you're going to have your open-ended questions you will ask your mentor. Also, figure out what you want to get out of the mentorship, because again, it's not just one-sided. It's not what the mentor want or just only what you want. Again, it's both, both parties. And then also planning to ask the mentor what they're hoping to get out of it as well. Okay. Another resource is kind of having like a development plan. Even outside of your mentorship, just having a development plan in general is good, because you get to find out, like, whatever your objective. Like, I have a couple of them. One of them is how to start a business, and these are some questions alongside my objective. And like I said, I have a business mentor now, and so these are some things I want to do. I want to find out what am I trying to acquire, which is, of course, open a business. Not necessarily now, maybe in the next 5 years. How I would do it, how will I know I did it, how will I be satisfied, and mainly, how can my new business mentor help me achieve that? And then when do I want to get there? And as I mentioned, in 5 years. So this is something you can kind of have with you. You can develop it throughout your mentorship when you see these opportunities. And here's another one, just having a reflection about your sessions with them. You can write down, kind of go back and write down whatever concepts, maybe ideas that you thought were useful that they shared. You can jot those down, and then kind of pull from that insights you have thought about yourself, personal, and what you think you can do differently. Also, any other thoughts or feelings you may have had during that time you met with them, because this helps you to, these are your, like, kind of your takeaways, because oftentimes you may, meet with the mentor and not remember what was said. But like, after you meet with them, immediately go back and jot down some notes like this, kind of reflect on it. Because once you reflect on it, then it's actually, you wrote it down, you can start implementing it. You can start developing a plan to move forward. So if it's like focusing on a particular research area, and then they share with you certain research techniques or a certain type of methodology that you were unfamiliar with, and you begin to apply it, then that helps sharpen and develop your skills. And again, you're applying what you've learned. It's a takeaway. And then when you go back and meet with them, you can share. Like, when we met on this day, you shared this, and guess what? I tried it and it works, and then that helps, again, them know that, okay, you're putting this to use. Okay, so how can we move forward from this? And that continues the conversation. And finally, there are some other resources that I don't know if you were able to kind of look through the APA website, but they have quite a few resources for mentees, tips for you on how to initiate meetings and what to get from them. Also, how to even get a mentor for those that are looking for one. That's also on the APA website. And then I put on there, for those that are looking for mentors, how do you write that letter or send that email? What is said in that? Like, you tell them, first of all, who you are. Also, how did you find out about them if it's someone you don't know? And then why would you like for them to be your mentor? Kind of give a couple of bullet points. But these are some great sample letter templates that you can use. So yeah, that's all I have for you, and I'm definitely open for questions.
Hi, I'm Haley, and then I was wondering, in regards to getting a mentor that you haven't previously met, like, are you supposed to meet, is it ideal to meet them first and know them before you send them, hey, I would like for you to be my mentor?
Well, and you know what? That's where that research comes into play. where, for example, if it is a professor that you see from afar, and let's say you know students that may have had this professor before, maybe, and maybe even some other professors that you feel comfortable with that knows them, that's kind of connected, maybe asking them first, like, oh, hey, how are they? So you can kind of gauge who they are, unless you already see, because that way you want to see if they're approachable. Because if they're approachable enough and open enough for you to jump in already for asking for a mentor, then
Uh-huh.
I would say go for it. But if not, the best way to approach it is to maybe say, hi, I'm such and such. I'm, majoring in this. And I just want to know if you have maybe 30 minutes or 15 minutes I can schedule during your office time to talk about, and you can tell them up front, I am looking for a mentor or looking for help in this area. And I thought I think you'll be able to help me. You can go for it that way too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Valamere. Thank you so much for all of the information, and I think that was really great and also very practical.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad to help, and I do know, I hope next time I will be sharing more more experiences I've had with each mentor to kind of
yeah,
scenario based
right.
type of
Yeah.
thing.
Wow, that would be great. Yeah, I actually have one question. As you were talking, I was thinking about the joint venture concept that you were talking about. I think that's really wonderful and important to keep in mind. And so you have shared a couple of ways that you try to help out with your mentor as well. I think you said kind of checking in with them, letting them know your growth and progress, and asking them, is there anything that you can help them with? And I think that's wonderful. So um, I was thinking, what are some ways that kind of you facilitate that progress and you facilitate kind of the concept that you are helping them and letting them know that they're getting something out of this relationship as well?
Oh, most certainly. I would say with one of the intern mentorship that I've developed over the past year, usually happened, it was facilitated because one, my dissertation area is in an area that this mentor is actually working to get clients to buy in on. So because I did heavily researched it, and that's what they're trying to establish now as a business practice, I was able to prove to them that I have the research experience, I have the research experience behind it, and help, I can help them develop this business model. And it's been a work in progress, and I was able to, again, share my research knowledge as well as, and it's all happened through my check-ins. Once I did the check-ins, and then I was able to, to go about it that way. And they were, I mean, they, to this day, they're still, I think they're grateful for that because I kind of saved them time from doing research when I've already came in with research, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I think kind of facilitating that would be generally through these check-ins because again, you're sharing information. They find out where you are, and so you're able to. Again, one of the things I also do is I give like articles, like I show, like if I'm reading an article and I think it's of interest to them, I will share it with them. And then even networking events. I'm good at researching or finding networking events I think will be within their circle from different associations. I will share that with them as well. So, yep.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So it sounds like it started with the check-ins and just having the conversation going, and opportunity will sometimes pop up for you
Yes,
to make some contributions as well.
yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we have a couple of minutes left, and I wonder if any of you on the call have any questions. And I'm going to unmute you all so you will be able to talk if you want. So I unmuted all of you. Feel free to jump in if there's a question or a comment that you want to share.
I have a question in regards to how do you feel about using social media as a means to connecting with potential mentors?
Okay. I actually love it, especially one of my go-to finding connections is LinkedIn. A lot of people don't know the power of LinkedIn, but it is the absolute best because one, you get to find out who people are more professionally. They're able to share more, for example, like research, things they're going, they're working on, more work related and more career driven, you know, um, things on LinkedIn. And so I really like that because that's where I know where I'm at in my life. I'm more career focused. I'm trying to really transition into different things career wise. So being on LinkedIn is great. That's for one. And then two, you're able to see who in your network is connected to them. So if you don't know them, you may know someone who does. And you could, like that example I used, can reach out through your own personal network and find out more about that individual before, let's say, you gauge the conversation or before you send that message through LinkedIn so that you can kind of have an idea from the start if it will be a potential fit for you. So that is always good. And let's say, for example, you don't have anyone in your network that knows this person. You can still, kind of research a little bit. And then if you feel comfortable after your research, what you've seen is all good, then you send that message. And that's where the sample letters to request a mentor, you can do that and kind of edit it. You don't necessarily have to jump in right away, will you be my mentor? You can still tell them who you are, and you can tell them that you notice that they're working on A, B, and C, and that's your field, and you just want to have a conversation with them, kind of an intro conversation to kind of get more information from them in terms of would they be a potential mentor, okay? Especially since you don't know them and then they're not within your network. But yeah, LinkedIn is great for that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions from the mentees on the call? Feel free to jump in.
I think sometimes one of the things that I hesitate about reaching out to people is, for example, right now I'm going into internship and then hopefully like a postdoc or a fellowship. And like there's people that I'm very interested in working with, but they are also sort of maybe like the training directors of certain like fellowships or something. So I'm worried about sort of if I reach out and seek out this mentorship, if I'm like not in their program right now, like is that like crossing a boundary for like when the application time does come, or is that okay? Like I'm just trying to figure out where like those boundaries are when there's like such structure application process like the match system.
Okay. So you're saying you're
Yeah.
currently going through the internship process?
I already matched for internships. I'll be going
Congrats.
to internships in. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
But thank you. But for example, I'm thinking specifically of someone that does a lot of research on pediatric pain that I would be really interested in. But she's kind of like the head of of one of the fellowships that I would potentially go into after my internship.
Oh,
So it's one of those that I'm like, would I reach out to her, or is that kind of crossing a boundary?
okay. So you want to make sure won't be any conflict of interest or it won't be crossing a boundary. Well, what I would do is you can still send that initial note to her just to let her know who you are, what your interests are, and you can even put a note that I'm not sure if it'll be a conflict of interest. I don't want to make sure I'm not crossing any boundaries, but are you able to, if you're not, can you refer or put me into direct contact to someone who would be A, B, and C? Because the thing is, what it does is it doesn't, okay, it shows that you're not being intentional about anything. You're not trying to cross a boundary. You're just, being cautious. And as well as you're then allowing her to tell you, no, I won't be able to because I am the training director, A, B, and C. However, I could give you to A, B, and C. I could share this with you. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, because again, you won't know until you ask. And the way that you're asking, it's not intrusive. It's not, intentional, being, crossing boundaries. I think that's exercising professionalism, by doing it that way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're approaching the time we're about to end, so I wanted to kind of respect the time for all of the mentee and our mentor on call today. And I just want to thank you again for Valamere for sharing your knowledge and information, and that's tremendously helpful for the students on the call and many students who will watch the video later. And I also appreciate all of the questions that our mentees asked, and I think those really add to our conversation as well. And I want to say that we have a two-part virtual mentorship, which means Valamere will be on the call at the same time next Saturday morning as well. And the second session will be more informal in terms of having a chat about our experiences and answering questions. So I would very much look forward to all of you to join us as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the rest of your weekend.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.